You're watching Business Nigeria, and we've been talking about investing for retirement. And market and investment analyst Mukhtar Mohammed has been talking to us about that and how to go on investing before you retire and when exactly you should plan for this retirement. We've talked about several ways of investing in the mutual funds, in equity, and of course the pension, which is more or less the general one where the company, wherever you work, have to remit some of your funds, your salaries into the investment scheme. All right, before we went on that, we're looking at these various forms of investment. And of course, you talked about aggressive form of investment. Many Nigerians, I would say, are actually, they're very careful because when they look at the risk of losing their funds, they do not want to go into that form of investment. But I'm sure because this is happening because they are not aware of what is entailed in investing in the aggressive manner.
Yeah, in investment, they say the higher the risk, the higher the return. So that's the slogan in investment. So if you go for a high risk thing, you have a high return. And then also remember, you could also have low returns. And you could also lose all your money. So it depends, like I said, it depends on your level of risk level. Some people take the risk, but like it's already, that is easier when you just start when you walk in. And again, it's easier when you have savings, because the thing about investment is that you have to save before you invest. So the challenge we have in Nigeria is that most of us spend our savings on luxury. We don't save. We don't save for rainy days. We don't save to take opportunities. Like what we have now in the terms of recession. Recession time is actually an opportunity time to be able to get assets at a very cheap rate. But because we don't have the savings culture, we're not able to take opportunity of some of these assets that get cheap during times of recession. Recession comes once in a while. It has been proven over time, recession, you come out with more billionaires than times of when the economy is booming. Because recession produces a lot of opportunities to get assets at a very cheap price. But people don't take advantage of that because they don't have the savings mentality. The thing is that it's advisable to start saving 10% of your earning every year. Whether you have a pension, whether you have a pension plan, you're trying to save or not. So you save 10%. But people will say, look, I don't even have enough. Why can I be able to save? But I tell people, you don't have enough to save for retirement, but you have enough to recharge your phone. So why not divert it? It depends on what your priority are, right?
It's all about.
Nigerians don't look at the future, they look at the now, and everybody wants to live large. Your income cannot last forever. So whatever income you are earning now, if you don't channel it towards investment, it becomes a waste. Your income revenue is for now, but your investment revenue lasts forever for you. Even sometimes it gets as far as your children, they'll be reaping from it.
All right, let's get back to this pension scheme. I'm sure there's some form of percentage interest on every amount that's been remitted into the pension scheme for every employee.
Yeah.
Can you enlighten us more about that?
Well, it depends on the company.
Is there a general interest
no.
that the pensions administrators...
It's like some administrator can give you 10%, some can give you 5%, some can give you 2%, some can give you 3.5%. It depends. So sometimes it's advisable to Nigerians that you don't have to just sit down there and say, okay, this is the only pension fund administrator that... No, you could go around them. You can go to ICO pension, you can go to whichever pension, you can go to all... Sorry, I'm not mentioning him. I'm not supposed to do that, sorry. You could go to any of the pension fund administrators. You could ask them what their returns are. You get their bulletin. Then you go and sit down and say, look, this one is giving me a better return, and this is the one I want to go into. So it's not mandated that your employers are the one to particularly force you a particular pension fund.
All right. Let's look at some companies that do not remit these funds every month. What happens? Is there any form of sanction?
There's a law. There's a sanction.
Okay, what are the sanctions?
Some of the sanctions is that the directors will be sent to jail, and then they will ask to pay that money. There's a fine for that. So once you know that your company is not remitting pension, then the government will come after them.
All right. It's actually very important that you invest for the rainy days.
Yes, definitely. Really. First of all, you save for the rainy days. It's a man that has savings that will think of investing. If you don't have savings, you can't think of investment. So the best critical step towards retirement, the very first day you get your job, start saving for your retirement. Then start looking at opportunity for investment in future purposes. Right. And you don't go into high return investment. I tell people, wealth is not built based on how large you put. It's consistency based on your planning and consistency every day.
All right.
So when you consistently put something over time, it has been proven that compound interest is the miracle wonders of the year. So over time, it develops. You see your 10,000 naira become 15,000, become 20,000 over time. So it's all about consistency.
All right. Market and investment analyst Mukhtar Mohammed, many thanks for your time.
Always a pleasure, Yemisi.
Thank you. Global credit rating agency Fitch has expressed doubt over Nigeria's multi-billion-dollar crude for loans prepayment deals with India and China. The Minister of State for Petroleum, Ibe Kachiku, said the country had negotiated a $15 billion investment with India, where the Indian government will make an upfront payment to Nigeria for crude oil purchases. Fitch said Nigeria remains Africa's largest oil producer, but its production has dropped by 25% in 2016 due to security issues and the closure of a number of export pipelines. Now, the rating agency said it viewed positively Nigeria's recent 7 Big Wins program, which covered sector regulation, upstream and downstream projects, security, as well as transparency and corporate governance. Well, the federal government is set to deploy relevant security technologies and a more sophisticated aerial surveillance mechanism to reduce the pipeline vandalism in the country. Well, this formed part of the discussion at the ongoing Health, Safety and Environment Conference in Lagos.
The Nigerian government has continued to implement policies aimed at increasing daily crude production to more than 4 million barrels per day and increase natural reserves to more than 40 billion barrels by the year 2020. Recent hike in pipeline vandalism, crude oil theft, oil spillage associated with environmental pollution, abductions in the Niger Delta region has resulted in significant decrease in crude production and revenue to government. This conference aimed at sustaining remedial strategies and addressing the challenges facing the oil and gas installations, while new ones are being considered.
Recommendations have been made, and the government has tried its best to put in place measures. But as you have it, we are not yet there where we can beat our chests to say yes. The system is foolproof, but the government is taking all measures. And I think in the next 4 to 6 months, it will be a different ballgame.
This meeting will also strengthen environmental regulations, eliminate multiplicity of regulators that will not only help advance the petroleum industry, but reposition Nigeria's oil and gas industry to its fullest potential.
Thank you very much. The oil and gas platform that is still operating in Lagos State today, the only one, is offshore. So safety is key, because human beings sleep there, they live there, and you can hardly get there by boat. You have to go by air. So area navigational safety is also very key. So for us in Lagos State, we know that we have that responsibility. Yes, ordinarily, the federal government and its agencies have a responsibility to secure these fields. But because the fields are located in Lagos, we also must play our part. And, we are reviewing the security strategy around the oil and gas space. We have it imagined already. And the only way we can make sure we are in control is to start putting the architecture in place now.
The Department of Petroleum Resources believes this gathering will help sustain government's commitment to the essential operational variables within the environment where these resources are mined for the interest of the country. Tolulope Ogunjobi, TVC News, Lagos.
Well, crude prices trade mix at the world market due to oversupply by producing nations. At the London market, the Brent trades for $47 per barrel in early business. And for the OPEC basket crude, its price drops to $43 a barrel. Private sector investment can help Nigeria attain the Sustainable Development Goals. A private sector network suggests this as a way to avoid mistakes made in attaining the Millennium Development Goals.
The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are an offshoot of the Millennium Development Goals. They are a universal call to action aimed at ending poverty, protecting the planet, and guaranteeing peace and prosperity among the people. The United Nations says these 17 goals are to build on the successes of the Millennium Development Goals. But this private sector network fears these goals may never be achieved if it remains an all-public sector affair, as was the case during the MDGs.
If you look at the Millennium Development Goals, the main driver was government, and government was providing most of the fundings, at times from outside the country, from multilateral organizations, from development partners, and in Nigeria most of them actually came from debt relief gain after we got the relief from the debt. But the Sustainable Development Goals, as one of its key indicators, the goals, which is partnership, that everybody must be involved. Government alone cannot do it.
The discussants at this forum say private sector involvement in the SDGs is the core of its existence. They feel the sector can help Nigeria create employment and eradicate poverty in line with the SDGs focus.
The private sector, of course, when empowered, can create employment. If you create employment, you are improving livelihood. You can help in eradication of hunger. The private sector can go into food processing, adding value to agricultural production. These are just ways. The private sector can award scholarships to students. The private sector can bring in technology into the system.
But then, the private sector needs a conducive environment to thrive if it will indeed help government with the SDGs. The forum seeks that government puts this in place while urging it to take private sector involvement seriously, as in the case in other climes.
The private sector has a role to play. I believe in giving back to the society what you have received from them. And in developed countries, that is what is happening. I don't know why Nigeria should be an exception. Government alone cannot do it all. We need to partner with the private sector so that we can efficiently deliver the goals.
The consensus at the forum is ensuring the SDGs work for the private sector and making it the sector's business. Advocates of the SDGs say it works in the spirit of partnership and pragmatism to make right choices in improving lives. The goals are to be attained by the year 2030. Lara Folayo, TVC News, Abuja.
All right, that's Business Nigeria for today. Many thanks for watching. I am Yemisi Landredo.